Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Good morning from Sarajevo and good afternoon to you in Malaysia. Welcome to another Islamic Renaissance Front webinar. My name is Emir Hadzikadunic. I am a senior research fellow of IRF. Today, I am moderating this session from Sarajevo, from Bosnia and Herzegovina. It is my great honor to welcome you all, especially our panelists today. His Excellency, Dr. Gholam Ali Khosroo, former Iranian ambassador to the UN. Professor Dato, Dr. Rashila Ramli, Institute of Malaysian and International Studies, National University of Malaysia, and Dr. Chandra Muzaffar, President, International Movement for a Just World. As always, we have an excellent topic for discussion today. Some say the hottest topic in the international affairs. So it is post-Trump era. Will there be any change in the US foreign policy? If we unpack this fundamental question, we can have two opposing assumptions. From one side, maybe too naive for some, to assume that a Biden presidency marks a major return to the way things were. And on the other side, that no big change in American foreign policy is to be expected, as skeptics are not to be dismissed lightly. So arguments by our panelists in either direction are the most welcome. This discussion, however, is not just about one state's foreign policy. More importantly, it is about American global leadership. It is about their grand strategy here, there, and everywhere. Indirectly, it is about new world order in making. From one side, it can be, for example, about American liberal hegemony, as Professor John Mearsheimer coined the term, which is more internationalist approach to foreign policy, as opposed to liberal decline, nationalism, and Donald Trump's America First foreign policy. It is also a discussion between more personal and disruptive approach to foreign policy from one side and more professional and institutional approach from the other. Last but not the least, it is also discussion between unilateral and multilateral approaches to foreign policy. So we can raise many questions today, more specific questions if you like. How will Joe Biden, as new president, impact American foreign policy in three most vital world theaters today: Europe, Persian Gulf, and East Asia, in which the US had invested a vast amount of blood and treasure over the past century. In Europe, one may address following issues: troubled relations with Russia, future of NATO, issues in Ukraine, Balkans, and so on and so forth. In Persian Gulf, Middle East to some extent as well, one may raise issues of troubled relations with Iran, Iranian nuclear deal, relations with Muslim world in general, Israel and Palestine, American military presence in Syria and Iraq, and so on and so forth. And most importantly, issues in East Asia, rise of China, trade war, disputes in South China Sea, and so on and so forth. In this regard, our panelists are free to choose their own issues and their own arguments. Now, let me briefly go through our program today. After my initial introduction, which is almost over, three prominent panelists will offer their views on the topic. Each of them will have about 20 minutes for their introductory statement. After all three presentations are completed, we will have another 40 minutes for our discussion and Q&A session. I'm sure Our panelists will engage our respective audience to ask provocative and critical questions. And the program will finally end at 5 p.m. Malaysian time with my closing remarks. So without further ado, let me present our first speaker today. His Excellency Gholam Ali Khosroo, I hope I pronounce well, is a former Iranian ambassador to the UN from 2015 to 2018, which happened to be the most critical time for the nuclear agreement between Iran and 5+1 countries. Prior to his appointment, Dr. Khosroo was Iran's ambassador to Switzerland. From 2005 to 2014, he was Assistant Secretary General of the Asian Parliamentary Assembly after having served as Deputy Foreign Minister for Legal and International Affairs from 2002 to 2005. Dr. Khosroo was ambassador to Australia as well from 1999 to 2002, before which he served as Deputy Foreign Minister for Research and Training from 1997 to 1999. From 1989 to 1995, Dr. Khosroo was Deputy Permanent Representative to the UN. He also served 2 terms as Dean of the School of International Relations affiliated with Iran's Foreign Ministry from 1981 to 1989 and from 1995 to 1997. In recent years, he has extensively worked on current developments of contemporary political Islam and its implications for Western societies. He has also contributed to various forums and seminars on how to promote dialogue and moderation among nations and how to contain extremism and sectarian violence. As a sociologist, he studied at Tehran University, a new school for social research, New York. He has published several articles and a book on political and cultural affairs. Your Excellency, Dr. Khosroo, the floor is yours.